Hey everybody! We made it to 27.5. Actually, as of filming this, the campaign is over and we made it to $30,000, which is insane. And we both really just want to thank everybody for backing and for sharing and liking and thinking happy thoughts and all of that good stuff. We really, truly couldn't have done it without you, and we appreciate all of you so much. Today I'm just going to give you a little bit of a brief overview of some of the stuff that we use for makeup effects on low budget indies. And I know most of you probably recognize Frank here, short for Frankendemon. He is a silicone mask from, I believe he is from CFX. He is very dusty. Get you a good look at what old Frank here really looks like. All of this white is baby powder. And he can be cleaned with a little bit of Windex, but just a little bit. And he has a friend. This is Eustace. Both these guys have been hanging out in my office. Easily the best, quietest co-workers you could ask for. And Eustace is from Immortal Masks. Get you a good look at him. And I know he wasn't in Demon Squad, but he very well could be in Demon Squad too. And that's why he's hanging out here. Those are his hands. Frank here's my buddy. He has been seen in other movies, such as Star Raiders, and probably some other things, because he's just really neat. He came off the shelf, not custom in any way, shape, form, or fashion. This is where the actor sees. So not a whole lot of vision at all. They can breathe. We've got nostrils that are decently sized. And then this mouth goes over the actor's own lips. And it's very, very well articulated. I mean, it moves really well. It's very heavy silicone. And the guy who played Frankendemon had to wear this for hours at a time. And he did great. Really, really nice guy. Never complained. Even the back is really detailed. Like this was about $600. And really saved us a ton of time. Custom prosthetics just weren't an option when we were filming. They take up way too much time putting them on. They take up a ton of time taking them off. We only had our locations for a certain number of hours, and then we had to be out of there and couldn't necessarily come back and reshoot. In the case of the warehouse where we filmed Frankendemon scenes, it was slated to be demolished not long after we finished filming, like days after we finished filming. And oddly enough, it's still standing. I have no idea what happened there, but we were told we were not going to be able to come back for reshoots because there wouldn't be a building to come back to. He's really cool. He saved us a ton of time because you can just put him on and take him off. It's about a 2-person job to put him on. I would put him on right now. I've worn the head. I would have put it on for you right now, but you have to fill it full of baby powder, and I would spend the rest of the video looking like Cocaine Bear. Plus, it takes 2 people to put it on, and I don't have a second person because they're toddler sitting right now. This is Eustace. This is the other guy. He was not in Demon Squad. He was bought for the movie that we did right after Demon Squad called Backwoods. So why is he here? Because he's probably going to be in Demon Squad too. When you have something this detailed and this expensive, you want to get as many uses out of it as possible. So there's a good chance you're going to see him in Demon Squad 2. I mean, look at the detail on this. This is from Immortal Masks. It was bought off the shelf. Again, not custom. Just so much detail in it. And again, he was a little more expensive because he came with hands. But just really cool. Much larger eye holes, much easier to see. Nostril. Same kind of deal with the mouth, though. Just goes over the lips. Lots of movement. Cannot really hear out of this ear. There's a small hole, but it is very small. This side, same basic deal. And this was worn by Mr. 50 Shades of Beige himself, Scott, who played Eustace in Backwoods. And did a fantastic job. We were really proud of him. And then these are the hands. The hands, oh my God. Oh my God. They are so heavy. They are ridiculously heavy. But they are, I mean, this is how thick we're talking about with the silicone. That's crazy. This hand alone probably weighs a good 5 or 6 pounds just by itself. And then this is the other hand. Even if you don't see Eustace's face in Demon Squad 2, there's a good chance you're going to see his hands. You may see both. They may be on 2 totally different creatures. But you have to reuse stuff if you can. Which is another reason for buying these and not going with a prosthetic, because the prosthetics are not reusable. We did use prosthetics. They had to get trashed at the end of the shoot, unfortunately. They probably should have been trashed before the end of the shoot, but we needed to keep using them. They're not really supposed to be reusable, but again, no budget. So we were very, very careful putting them on the actors. Each one was applied to the actor very, very, very lightly, and then painted, and then removed. That was just for pre-painting. That was done months in advance. We had everybody come over for fittings, and we pre-painted all of the appliances to save time on the day of the shoot. But they were applied individually with Pros-Aide and liquid latex, depending on who it was. But they were applied by a real honest-to-God professional makeup artist. And they were removed as carefully as possible, placed in a Ziploc bag, all the air sucked out of it, and then put aside to be used again. We had the forehead appliance for Skeeter, and Blondie had a full face appliance. The rhinoceros demon in the club had a full face appliance. The little teenage club kid monster that got in with a fake ID had horns. And then we had a troll madam that, if you've only seen the MST3K edit, you didn't get to see. And that's a shame, because that was my favorite of the makeups. But we had a green troll madam, and that was my favorite. I loved that one. None of those were custom. They were all bought off the shelf. Actually, not from Party City or Spirit Halloween. They actually did come from a shop that specializes in prosthetics for cosplayers. So they weren't as cheap as you might think they were. They actually were pretty high quality for off-the-shelf appliances. So this is an assortment of other stuff that we used. I'm going to start with this because it was the cheapest. This actually did come from Spirit Halloween. It is an FX transfer. Basically, it's a temporary tattoo made out of silicone, and it might be the coolest thing I've ever seen makeup-wise. you just add water and it sticks to you and it blends into the skin. It really does look like that once you add a little bit of fake blood to the darkened red areas. It works amazing and it sticks really well. The problem is if you do it in Mobile, Alabama, it melts. We had one of these that was a throat slash that was supposed to be used for Dr. Paul, and we put it on him, and within just a couple of minutes, it was goo. But if you were somewhere indoors with less humidity, these suckers are fantastic and really cheap. But over here, we've got a whole bunch of blood. And it's going to stay in these containers. And I'm not opening this because all of this stuff goes everywhere. But we've got just good old-fashioned stage blood, which if you want, you could make your own with Karo syrup, a little bit of cocoa powder, a couple of drops of blue food coloring, a lot of red food coloring. And if you want it to be washable, throw in a little bit of dishwashing soap. I did that once and then found an item that had not been washed like 2 years after we filmed with it. Threw it in the washer, came right out. You can always just go this route. This came with a set of effects makeup, and it's really good stuff. It's Marin, just good old-fashioned stage blood. This is Arterial Flow. It's got a little bit more orange color to it. And it's a little thinner. It's good for something like a throat slash. And then over here, I have coagulated blood gel, which is the same thing that I have here. And this is my favorite. It's got a little bit of texture to it, and it works really well for doing like lash marks, scratches, things that maybe have been around a day or two so that the blood has congealed a little bit, or something that has just barely broken the skin because it separates from itself and it makes a really cool textured effect. But then this little tiny one is just a smaller version of this guy. This one stayed in my purse while we were filming because Nick had the stabbed hand wound. So I just kept that in my purse and dabbed it on anytime we had to change the gauze for whatever reason. And then I forgot it was in my purse and found it months later. Then over here, this is a little bit heavier duty. This is alcohol activated blood. It's all different shades of icky blood. And it's good if you don't want it to come off. If you're going to be shooting something for a while and the blood needs to stay put, that's not going to come off until you take it off. It's not going to smear. It's just going to be there. And that brings me to this guy, which is basically the same thing. It's activated with 99% alcohol. It's not going anywhere once you put it on. If you've got somebody who's going to be splashing water on their face or having to go underwater, something like that. This guy is what we used on the stranger to get the little scars coming down from his eyes. This stuff's cool. You put it on and you have to put it on in layers. So the scars were drawn on to make sure they were where they were supposed to be. And then this was applied over it, and you put it on like nail polish. It's just this little brush in there, and you put it on, and then you wait a few minutes, and you put another layer on. You wait a few more minutes, you put another layer on, and you keep doing this because every time you put a layer on, as it dries, it pulls in the skin, and it creates a divot in the skin. It basically makes a wrinkle. If you put enough layers on, you can get a pretty deep wrinkle. And then it was painted, and we put the glasses on him, and that was that for the stranger. It's a really inexpensive, easy unfortunately rather time consuming way of getting a really cool effect. We actually had an appliance for the stranger, and he came in and had his fitting, and it didn't look right. So Thomas and I played around with some stuff and found that this made some really cool scars, and this is what we went with. I didn't do the stranger's makeup. I actually really only did mine and Christian's and the other human guys. And Blondie, the beauty makeup on Blondie. Chris Nelson did the stranger's makeup, and she did a great job on it. It looked really cool in person. It looked cool on camera, but it looked really cool in person. And then this guy is probably the least used product on this table because we got it for free. Sweat and Tears. It's basically glycerin. You just put it on and it mimics sweat and tears. And we had the real thing for free. So it just didn't get used much. It did get used a little. If we had been filming outside and Christian was very, very, very sweaty, and then we moved to an indoor location, or we had a chance to go inside for a while and cool off, and he came back out and wasn't as sweaty, we had to add sweat so that it didn't look different, so that we had continuity between shots. So some of that sweat actually wasn't real, but I'd say probably about 95% of it was absolutely real. And there's other stuff that we used that I didn't really think needed necessarily highlighting. This is the Makeup Tower, like grease paint and primers and regular foundation. And what is this? This is edible blood. I forgot about edible blood. Don't ever buy edible blood. It's a racket and it tastes terrible. Just make your own. This is mint, and it really, really sucked. But, liquid latex, fake dirt, scar wax that I don't think got used much, if at all. And that's really it, hair stuff. A lot of stuff has been cleaned out. And really, everything that I've shown you today needs to get tossed because stuff expires. And this is stuff that was actually used 8 years ago. So all of this is going to get tossed, except for that appliance probably. But all of that's going to get tossed before the next shoot. Safety first. You want everybody to have clean makeup. I have 99% alcohol for cleaning off all of the makeup and all of the brushes in between people. We just want to make sure everybody stays safe and healthy and no one gets a, skin rash or anything like that. So the expired makeup's gotta go, which really sucks because some of it was not cheap, but it only lasts so long. So that's part of what this Kickstarter is going to take care of. We're going to be able to replace all of this nasty expired makeup with stuff that won't hurt people. Yay! But I guess that about covers it. I think we're still in a state of shock. We really, really were not expecting to hit 30. Especially not, when we went to bed last night. We were really just hoping that it stayed funded. So you guys rock. I mean, I can't say it enough. You guys absolutely rock. Thank you all for doing this. And I'm gonna try and keep you posted as best I can on what we're doing behind the scenes. That seems to be my thing on this, so I'm going to try and keep that up. And we're just looking really forward to bringing you the continuing adventures of Nick Moon. So thank you all again. and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Bye.